Welcome to the 9th episode of the series where I go through and review every piece of EU Legends media in my chronological order, every single piece of media, and rate them out of 10 stars. Today we have Dawn of the Jedi Force Storm number 4, and this issue begins with the Jedi Masters having a meeting. There's a Wookiee Jedi, and there's Ketu, and there's Seknos Wrath's grandmother, and there's Tasha Ryo's mother, and there's also Master Lo Mi, the Dai Bendu, who was briefly in Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, and there's also Jake Fenn, who is Rory Fenn's brother. And so we see all of them having a meeting, and they're all concerned, and they're trying to keep in contact with Master Quenjang's team, which consists of Quenjang, Rory Fenn, and Hawk Ryo, but the storm's interfering, and all of the Masters suddenly learn that Seknos Wrath, Shea Koda, and Tasha Ryo have made contact with whatever's out there. And when we go back to the three young heroes, they're in a cave, and the Force Storms are playing with their mind, and so they're seeing visions. Like for Shea Koda, it's her parents who are ashamed of her, and they get into a little scrap before they resolve their differences and learn to trust the Force. And elsewhere, Predor Tolkar is killed by Zesh, and it's a flashback sequence we'll learn where where Zesh was commanded to kill other rival Predors for his master, and it goes back to a flashback of him just taking out Rakatans, and he's getting haunted by Force Storms too with all of the trauma. The Force Storms are giving him some visions of all of the terrible things that he's done. Elsewhere, Quenjang rides Butch in his search for everything, and in his search for the three young Jedi, and Hawk Ryo and Rory Fenn ride on Seknos Wrath's blue dragon beast thing, and we learn that Rory Fenn and Hawk Ryo have a bit of a thing for each other. Then we flash back to where Zesh fights with a slave called Isk, and we see his rival Forcehound Trill here again after the first issue, and she was observing as Zesh took on Isk, who was the best, one of Predor Skalness's best Forcehounds, but Isk is an alien type we haven't seen before, but he's really visually pretty cool. And we also see that Zesh has the Zesh symbol tattooed on his back and his arms as well in this fight sequence. And he kills Isk easily, just like because he's a survivor. So then with with Zesh, he's using his training to survive and fight off more of the beasts, but he's being overwhelmed because the Force Storms are driving the beasts insane. So he's almost eaten by a beast before Seknos Wrath, Shea Koda, and Tasha Ryo show up to save him, and they save his life, which is interesting. They use the Force to guard off the beast from killing wounded Zesh. However, when they try to activate the Force Saber, since they've all resorted to abiding in the light currently with the turmoils of the storm that help the three to get over their visions and their fight against each other, they don't have the anger to activate the Force Saber, so they're not sure why it won't turn on. But after they've saved him and they've used their Force powers on the beast is still overwhelming them, and Zesh just gets out of there. He starts to leave. But instead, he goes back, activates his Force Saber, and then he leaves again. So the young Jedi are there looking up at the beast, and Zesh calls the Force Saber to his hand and just leaves, which is quite the way to end the issue. You thought that maybe he's going to go back and save them because he turns around and knows that he can't leave yet. Then he's just going back for his weapon, and then he gets right back out of there. So this issue is another solid issue. I enjoyed it. We get to see a bit more of Zesh's past and how he was a slave, and then he was shaped into being what the Praetors wanted him to be in the Infinite Empire. We see there were Cotton's cruelty. We see the kind of society, the dangerous society that the Infinite Empire had among all the Force Hounds. So those are some positives. The positives, as always, are the artwork, which is incredible. The character development for all the young Jedi characters, you're starting to get a feel for all of them by this point for sure. Starting to get some sympathy, some concern built up, perhaps in their faces while they're in the face of peril. And Zesh is certainly very interesting and complex, and getting to see some of his background was super cool as well. So out of 10 stars, I give this one a 6. This is just a really solid issue. There's nothing negative to say about it. I enjoyed every part of it. And they introduced us to some of the cool masters when they were showing us the scene with the Jedi Masters. Some of them were really cool looking, like Jake Fenn. He's got this... He looks like a Thor, kind of, as a Jedi. And Lami's really cool looking. He's kind of like a cat looking thing with big whiskers. And Wookiee Jedi are always cool. So it was nice to see some really visually some not stylistic, some visually striking Jedi Masters. Nice to see. Overall, a really solid issue. But what did you guys think? How many stars would you give it out of 10?